Okay, so today, first let's just talk briefly about how you want to sit when you're playing the guitar. A real important thing is that you would like your upper leg to be flat or the knee be higher than the hip. If you need to put your guitar case on the floor and put your foot on top of it, you can do that. You can buy a classical guitar footrest, anything that works, an old phone book, whatever. Or maybe you just have a low chair. But if your knee is down like this, then the guitar is going to want to slide down your leg. If your knee is up, then it'll sit there comfortably. Now, a couple more things. You would like to hold the guitar so that the neck is a little bit higher than the body. Some people play with a strap on all the time. I do usually. But even if you don't, if your knee is high enough, you'll be able to hold the guitar so the neck is up a little bit. If the neck is not up, then it's harder for your hand to get around the neck, for your left hand. So you want the neck to be a little higher than the body, and you want your arm, if possible, your upper arm, like your biceps, should sort of rest on the lower bout of the guitar. Otherwise, you'll be too tense holding it up. So, if you're a really big guy, you might want to make sure you get a big guitar. If you're a smaller person, smaller guitars work. Okay, so those are two postural issues. Relaxed arm resting on the guitar. So, see where my fingers fall. If I were flat picking, I might want my hand to fall a little farther back. That's common in bluegrass playing. But if you're finger picking or even just strumming, you might want to be somewhere around the middle or lower part of the sound hole. Okay? And then we'll talk a little bit about the left hand as well. So talking about the left hand, if I turn the guitar this way so you can see a little bit better, basically here's what I recommend for folk players or blues guitar especially, where the thumb is used around the neck sometimes, ragtime blues, is to hold the guitar almost the way you'd hold a tennis racket. My hand is just kind of resting. My thumb can come around a little bit. And so just so it doesn't feel convoluted, and your fingers should just rest on the strings lightly. You want it to be as relaxed as possible. If you're having trouble with your fingers flattening out too much, then the fix for that is to let your wrist bend. Because in truth, the more of your hand that is in front of this plane of the fingerboard, the more lateral mobility you'll have. By lateral mobility, I mean this width. So if you're back the way I originally told you with your hand like this, your fingers can probably only get like this far apart. If I come around, they can get much farther apart and you can reach much longer distance. This is the way classical players play, with their thumb on the back of the neck. But a lot of times for a folk player, this is just too uncomfortable, and it also doesn't let you feel as in touch with the instrument. So everybody has to find their own way of doing this, but this is a good start to just let your hand come around the neck. If you have any trouble reaching what you're reaching for, let your wrist open up a little bit so that your hand opens. And also, what we're doing when we play the guitar is, in some way, you're always using your opposable thumb. A lot of times you might be pressing your fingers against this lower part of the thumb, what's called the thenar eminence. And that's kind of the way you're putting pressure on the guitar. A classical player would be putting pressure opposably against the pad of the thumb with the fingers. So you could have that too, like this. And you have to kind of mess with that. For me, the way I play the guitar, it changes. If I'm playing an F chord where I need a low bass, then my hand is just gripping the guitar like a tennis racket. If I'm playing a C chord and I need to reach this E flat, if I can play the chord, then my hand comes out around the guitar. And a lot of times in those cases, think of your index finger and thumb making a kind of C shape. It shouldn't be like folded in like this. This may come natural to you, but if it doesn't, you might have to work on it a little bit. Okay, so we've covered sitting posture, we've covered right hand arm resting on the guitar and hand position, and we've covered a little bit about the left hand. That's our lesson for today.